Hello. Sorry, I was jamming the music. I was jamming. Sometimes that happens. Here. Here. Hold on. I'll show you what I was listening to. Ah, jeez, Grumpy. Thanks. All right. Here.
One, two, three, four.
And that's all we can play before it gets mad at me. It's gonna get mad at me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Here, I'll put on the regular music. I don't know if people know what that is, but anyway, it's fine.
Discovery,
It's fine.
go at throttle up.
Hey, Sethron, what's up, man? Can I get one medium launch vehicle combo, supersize the boosters, hold the pogo with a Sprite to drink? Yep, yeah, sir. That'd be $22.95, please. I'm sorry, it's that hold the pogo. That's expensive. It's expensive. It's expensive. Hey, but it's worth it. All right, cool. Okay. Shall we start? Shall we? Let's shall. How's everybody doing? All right, let me load up Kerbal here, and we should be good. Let me see what else. Let's go! Thanks for the bits. Covering the NASA thing at 2. Yeah. Spacesuits. Space. Alright, let me get the joystick out. Yes, joystick. Alright. Finger time. Okay, chums, let's do this. Leroy Jenkins. Oh my God, he just went in. Oh my gosh. Ah, frick. Stick to the plan, chums. It's still funny. It's still funny, alright? It's still funny. I don't care if it was staged. It's still funny. Wonder if they'll stay with the same company that they've used forever. Well, John, let me tell you something about the spacesuits. You know the Zimwaltz? That's the spacesuits. Yeah, it's a fustercluck like that. Yeah. Hey Vin, what's going on? What's a what? The spacesuit program is it's a big mess. Yeah, it's a big mess. Yeah, just a big mess. But whatever, it's fine. Music. There we go. This is for the lunar EVA suits. No, it's not just for lunar. It's just the EVA suits. Yeah. Yeah, it's just all EVA suits. This is a big deal. It's a big contract for the space program. But the thing is that it's all right. You know what? I'll give you a breakdown of it right before we cover the thing, okay? Long story short, they had a really nice space program acquisition system, or spacesuit acquisition system set up. You guessed it, during Constellation. They had a really nice one set up during Constellation. And then when they canceled Constellation, they kept the spacesuit program, and it's basically been on life support since. And then in 2020, I think it was, right when Bill got into office, they promptly canceled it without asking anybody, and replaced it with whatever this is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. What's that? I'm doing my own KSP pathfinding. Oh, nice. Yep. Yeah, no, it's bad. Yeah. I hope this program, whatever they have teed up today, I hope it fixes it, because yeah, they quietly canceled it too, which is funny. And then you guys are going to love this. They basically kept the Constellation spacesuit program on life support, basically just giving it enough money to stay running. Like, they're like, we need $1 billion for a new spacesuit. And they're like, okay, here, have $1 million. Have $1 million. Have $1 million. And they've been doing that for like the last 15 years, up until 10 years until 2020. And then they said, well, the spacesuit program has been around for this long, and it's cost us this amount of money, and we've gotten nowhere. Let's cancel it and replace it with something else. And then let's underfund that too. Yeah, they did it quietly, John. NASA didn't even, they barely did a press release, dude. Yeah. Actually, they have two suit providers, John. There's Delaware, ILC Dover, and David C. Clark. So it's not just Delaware; it's Massachusetts too. That's why it's a little sus. It's a little sus. No, not bad news, Nighthound. But yeah, it's NASA's announcing new spacesuits at 2 today. So let's hope it's not terrible. Give me 1 second. Anyway, it's EVA suits for the moon and for the space station. Give me 1 second, fellas.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
John, I shot you a message on Discord. Why is everything NASA been trying to build recently taking so long? You said 10 years for spacesuits, 11 for SLS. Underfunding. Yeah. Ryan, the reason NASA is... This is what I talk about every day, dude. The reason NASA is in the state that it's in is because of canceling Constellation. Yeah. They canceled Constellation, and I said, man, this is the price that we pay for championing commercial. Yeah. Cancellation. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good, dude. This is it. Yeah, dude. I don't feel like ranting today. I wanna engineer stuff, but yeah, it's no good. Yeah, that's. So this new suit would replace the Airtimes one announced a year or two ago, or be in addition to it. Replacing. I told you they canceled that program. Yeah, remember the program where Jim came out on stage with the two guys in the suits? Yeah, that's gone. They replaced it with this. I assume if Elon sends private missions to the moon, he can design his own suits. They will. They have to for Polaris Dawn. They're designing their own stuff, yeah. Today at 2 and how many hours? 1 hour and 38 minutes from now. Alright, so I had some time to think about this. We're just gonna go with fixed leg designs for this thing. This thing needs to be as simple as possible, but it also needs to perform. Think about what? Oh, the vehicle, this launch vehicle that we're engineering. So can NASA buy his suits? Yeah. Yeah, of course they could. Wasn't sure the context. Yeah, no problem. I'm talking about the launch vehicle, Weed. I made flip out legs. Like, dude, I made Condor 9 landing legs. You remember Condor 9. I made Condor 9 landing legs that work like the real ones. But, and I'm not talking about like a cheap trick. Like how Condors undocked and then they redocked when they landed. I made like actual Falcon 9 styled landing legs and they work. We just gotta dial them in. Yeah, dude, they work exactly like it is an exact replica, and then because of the hybrid tech hinges, they work correctly. The hinges don't pop, they don't drift. It's actually really, really freaking cool. But I'm not sure if making something that folds out like that is what we're necessarily looking for. So I want to go in here and I want to design. I don't know if we should design a fixed landing leg, but just iterate. I like Neutron's fixed landing leg style, to be honest with you. And that's what I think I want to do here. So let's start messing with this thing. Let's put this up here like this. There. How's the house stuff going, 2020? Bank appraisal right now, dude, meaning that no news is good news. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I thought the legs wouldn't fold back up, which is why you got rid of it. I'm happy you decided against catching the booster. I do not doubt you could catch them, but I don't think it would be a reliable option in the long run. Landing next to the pad is the easiest way, and then a fixed. I really would like to do something like this, but this isn't going to jive too well with the landing plate mechanism that we just made, and those really nice hold down points that I don't want to screw with those. So what we're going to do is something like this. Something like that. Just straight telescopic. That'll be just fine. It'll work. Bank is so slow. It's not just that. Yeah, they are. It's by design, though. You gotta remember that. So with fixed landing legs, we don't need a pad, right? Just a refueling vehicle and a weird lift that lifts the second stage on top. Not exactly. Saw you tinkering with the shuttle pad. Are you planning on using it again? No, Ryan. I'm not really, but I'll show the people. I'll show people. I was messing with it. I just wanted to see something. Yeah, exactly, Weed. It's by design. So, RJ, the bank is slow. Weed's right. That's kind of what I was getting at. There was a time where the banks went really fast, and they just handed out money willy-nilly, and then the economy crashed. Badly. Yeah. It's probably better if they go slow. Make sure I'm good for it, please. Yeah, exactly. 2008 happened. ITS-style landing legs? I was thinking something like that, Shadow Man. We gotta keep it simple. Hey, Tech, what's going on? Here. Yeah, fellas, check this out. I went and started messing with something last night, just to see. Think of it as just a fun side project. Where are you? Think of it as just a fun side project. I took the hold down point design that we had from for the MLV, and I tried to hang some SRBs on it just to see what would happen, and it works. Oh, it works. Everest, how are you? Now, alright, before we get into MLV stuff, if we really wanted to mess with this, we really want to see what happens, here's what we'd do. Take this, give me a docking port right here, like that. Remember how I was always talking about how making a shuttle would be a little bit on the complicated side, or building a shuttle stack could be a little bit complicated? Well, here, I'll show you why. Let's see what this does. You have to make sure that the tolerance on these is perfect. Okay. What I just did there is a huge no-no in pad design. I'm trying to basically make two SRBs connected to the pad go up and connect to each other. That's the equivalent of crossing the streams. That's like Ghostbusters. You don't cross the streams. That's a huge no-no. It's gonna snap dock and it'll explode. Let me show you. So, Are you kidding me? No way. Are you serious right now? Why did it... Wait a minute. That's not supposed to happen. It's supposed to explode. Because you were supposed to explode. Why would I want to do that? The demo effect. Dude, it so is. Kerbal hates me for this, man. Alright, hold on. It's because it's debris. Okay, so let's take this. Configure the vessel naming. Set it to station. Task failed successfully. Where was the kaboom? Why not make your shuttle your medium launch vehicle and SLS type rocket your HLV? Well, because of this problem. You don't cross the streams until you're battling Gozer the Gozerian. Gozer the Gozerian, as a representative of the state, county, and municipality of New York, I hereby order you to cease and desist all paranormal activity and quickly return to your nearest parallel dimension. Are you a god? No? Then die! Ray, when someone asks if you're a god, you say yes! The Ghostbusters never stops. Thermal curtain failure! Bye, Felicia. No, Zay, don't you dare. Hello, new KSP streamer. Do you need help with docking board? No, Clippy, shut up! No, shut up, Clippy! Why? Why is this working? Alright, okay. Full stop. Why is that working? That should not work. That violates docking port hierarchy. I don't understand why this is working. This should not work. It should... This should be violating docking port. Whatever. I just said that twice, like anybody's freaking... Like anybody understands what the frick that means. It should explode. That should have blown up. Like, it should have exploded. It should have snap docked, and it didn't snap dock. Why didn't it snap dock? I must know. Vin, it makes no sense. This should blow up. Everything says that this should blow up. It should explode. Yeah, exactly, J-Speed. Now it's like baiting me. It's baiting me in. Because I know this will blow up. If I take the time and I put this all together, it's going to explode. Alright, let's try this. Do you have a different craft prototype to verify this? No, I don't, Wheat. I'm trying to think why this is doing this and why it isn't. Why it's working for the most part. Hang on. Let me get rid of my old stabilizers. These are the old stabilizers for the old SRBs. Hey, B0. So, Ryan, the thing is, dude, I thought about it. I thought about using the shuttle. And just using the shuttle in SLS and just kicking butt with that architecture. But this main thing, what you see right here is why I didn't do it. How many KSP versions back did you verify that it didn't work? I don't know. I don't remember. But this isn't craft file verification, guys. This is game rules. This is a game feature, which is strange. EJ's finally got mad and built a half invisible rocket. No. Van, shut up. Hey, it exists. Shut up. It exists. Look. Boom. Roasted. Hey, Ren. Thanks for gifting out 5 subs. I appreciate it. See? I'm not crazy. Why does it exist? So, they did this, dude, when they needed to. So sometimes what they would do is build the stack. So SRBs are easy to stack. They're easy. These are segmented SRBs, right? So you see the segment line right there. It's like, Van, it's like putting exhaust pipes together for the most part. It's like exhaust pipes almost with V-bands, right? It's kind of similar to that, but it's kind of not, right? There's O-rings in the V-band. We know, yes, those O-rings. They're really easy to stack. You don't need any maintenance to stack them. Like, you don't need a service gantry or anything to stack these things. You need a service gantry to work on them after they're done. So sometimes what they would do inside of the VAB is they would stack in the two bays in the back of the VAB. So like if they had one shuttle stack in high bay 3 and another shuttle stack in high bay 1, they still had high bay 4, which was used for external tank checkout, and then they had high bay 2 that was empty. You could stack in there. So sometimes, Ben, you ever live in a house with like 3 other people and everybody has a car? Hey, I need you to move your car so I can get my car out. Literally that, but with space shuttles. Yeah, it's literally that. Yeah, literally that. So they'd stack, right? They'd stack in high bay 2, and you don't need the service gantries to stack SRBs. You absolutely need the service gantries to stack the external tank and obviously the space shuttle, right? So they would stack out here. They'd stack in high bay 2 because they had 3 MLs. They had 3 mobile launchers. So if one of them was being used, if a shuttle was being finalized in high bay 3 and high bay 1, you could get ready for the next shuttle mission by stacking in high bay 2. And then when high bay 1 and 3 rolled to the pad, you'd take the 2 SRBs. You take the 2 SRBs with the strut that holds them together like that, and you'd roll it. You'd roll it around all the way out to here. Now, there's a reason why they rolled it all the way out here. That picture was taken somewhere down here or something.
Discovery, go at
because what they would do is, I think how they did this was, so high bay 1 would roll out to the pad. Another stack would be in high bay 3. They would move 2 out here. And then they would take 3 and move it into 1. And then they would take 2 and roll that into 3. If that made any sense at all. Literally playing car shuffle, but with space shuttles and mobile launchers. That's why they did this. Okay, just in case anybody's confused, that never launched. That never did anything. But, you want a trivia question? Check this out. They thought about it. I'm not even kidding. They thought about it. Straight up. They thought about it. SRBX. Literally one of the dumbest ideas to come out of NASA. They thought about it. Yep. Why was it dumb? How the hell does... How's that gonna work? See, these two are good ideas. This stuff over here. So what they wanted to do was mount the two SRBs, right? And then they wanted the thing to go, and they wanted to have a center core SRB that was air started. Like, what? That's just really complicated. Why would you do that? They wanted to air start the center one. SRBX was nuts. Like, absolutely freaking crazy, dude. Why would you do that? Like, on top of all the SRB stuff, like all the things about these SRBs that make them tough to use, then your air... I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not the worst idea, just... It's not the worst idea. I just can't help but think that there's probably better ways to do this. That's all. Like Omega. Or, you want to know the right way to do that? No air start SRBs and a liquid fuel second stage. And the funny thing is that that's what they tried to end up doing with Ares 1. They wanted to... Ares 1 is kind of the genesis of SRBX, which is kind of hilarious to me. I think that's the right way to do it. Instead of stacking SRBs on top of each other and air starting them, you just make a bigger segmented SRB. You could just theoretically keep stacking segments. 4 segment, 3 segment, 2 segment, 5 segment, whatever. And if you're gonna air start an SRB, you might as well do it in line. Like Omega, like that's what Omega wanted to do. Yeah, see, Omega was a good idea. That's an air start SRB, but that's a much better implementation. SRBX was just crazy. No, I'm not saying that you couldn't air start it. I'm not saying that you couldn't air start it, Cyborg. Not at all. You're going to air start an SRB in a cluster like that? I mean, once again, I'm not saying that couldn't be done. That absolutely can be done. I kind of made it seem like air starting was a bad idea. No, you can air start SRBs. That's fine. But if I'm going to do it, an inline way to do it like that is probably a better solution. That's way less complicated than trying to stage and stack SRBs like this. I think that's dumb. That's a really stupid idea. This is a good idea over here, which is basically Omega. I want 4 segments on top of each other. I see you like to party. Yeah, it's not air starting. You could do it. You could do it. Sure. It's just not really that good of an idea. But they had the idea derived from that,
Discovery,
which is funny to me. When would it start? You'd have to fire that center core while the SRBs are still tailing off in thrust. You don't want any point... Okay, let me think about it for a second, John. You'd have to air start them while the SRBs are still firing. Cyborg, what do you think? I'm going to default to your expertise here on this one. So, say they did make SRBX and they put an SRB in the center like that. How would we do it? The SRBs on the side have a 2-minute 30-second burn time, right? We know that from shuttle. 2-minute 30-second burn. Thanks for the subs, dudes. Cool Frisch, 46 months. Spaceman with a 50-month. How would we do that? 2-minute 30-second burn on the 4-seg side boosters. So you'd have to fire... if it was me, I would hot stage it. Just because with that SRBX design, you have a very big fairing. You have a very big fairing out front. Separation on this, yeah, you'd have to fire this before the 2 side boosters flamed out. You'd have to. Yeah. Maybe the fact that physicsless hold down points change how it works? It could be, Ryan. My browser crashed. Would you be able to repeat the question? Cyborg, if you were going to do this, if we were going to make this work on the right, SRBX, you'd have to hot stage this like Soyuz. You'd have to fire this SRB while these things are tailing off. Because you wouldn't separate and then ignite. I don't think that's a good idea, especially with that thick of a fairing. I wouldn't do that. That seems very notoriously unstable unless you had some ullage thrusters. Gary, what's that? Oh, a Ferrari Daytona. Very nice. Very nice. I would air start this before the other boosters tailed off. But honestly, if we're gonna go through all that complication, I like this one over here. Or even that one. I think this one is a better design. That has Titan SRBs on it. Which is basically Omega. It's Omega is basically the same solution. I still think Omega is a good idea. Inline SRBs I don't have a problem with. We know that works in KSP as well, which is kind of cool. Was it Delta 2 that air started SRBs on some platforms? Yep. Yep. Alright, anyway. I really wish Omega was getting made. Alright, I gotta go in here and check something. Okay. So clearly something different here had to make it work. Thomas, I still think there's a market for Omega, and I think personally Northrop Grumman was stupid to want to keep using Antares, but there's always a reason, and you know, I always have to default back to I don't know better. It depends on how much drag you're getting from the aft skirts on the SRBs, if it's naturally stable or unstable compared to that hammerhead style fairing. Well, Novus, we have a long hammerhead style fairing with that. So we know that that's more stable, right? We know that that's more stable because a long fairing like that will control your... I blanked on the damn word. The angle... The shock angle? I forget what it's called. We learned about this with Starliner the other day. If you have a stubby hammerhead launch vehicle, you need to have something on the side to control the air coming back up. To control the airflow in that area of low pressure. That's why Starliner has that cheese grater thing on the outside, right? We learned about that from that thread from Chris, which was a great thread on hypersonics. I learned a ton from that, actually. Hey, S, what's going on? The angle of the dangle. Yeah. So Starliner has this cheese grater thing on the outside. See that? See this darker thing right there? It looks like a cheese grater. Right? And I always thought that was just there for aerodynamic stability, like during a launch escape. It was there to, you know, like the fins on Dragon almost. But that's not why it's there. No. Believe it or not, Starliner is very stubby. And this is part of the reason why the aero skirt is here. A lot of people asking me about that too. It's actually it's really super freaking interesting. This is wild stuff, and stuff I just generally didn't really understand, and I'm still kind of like, So Starliner has this crazy air skirt behind it, right? It has the air skirt because of the cheese grater. Now, what does the cheese grater do? What is that thing there for? Well, okay, when air is moving off Starliner at different speeds, particularly in transonic, so 0.8 to 1.2 Mach, in there, because Mach number is entirely dependent on airspeed, and because air is being pushed around over different parts of the vehicle, the local airspeed at different areas of your vehicle can change. So when you're in transonic, this is the reason why it's called transonic, because half of your vehicle can be breaking the sound barrier and half of it can't. Half of it won't. because remember, it's entirely dependent on how fast the air is moving, your airspeed, how fast the air molecules are going past the vehicle, right? So Starliner, with its basically a stub out in front like this, it's not very stable. It's called a hammerhead style launch vehicle. It's not very stable. Hey, Chief. So the reason why it's not very stable is because the very quick and dirty way to say it is because of the airflow. Because of that, in transonic, air is flowing over this in a really weird way. It's basically pushing the air out and pushing it out here, and it's very turbulent. It doesn't work very well. So basically, you gotta have a vehicle that has a very long fairing or a very long front if you're gonna try to do a hammerhead style launch vehicle. I'll give you a good example. Falcon 9's super lengthy fairing right there actually makes this thing super stable, believe it or not. You'd think that this is not very aerodynamic, right? Because it's very large in the front. Oh, your center of pressure is going to get screwed. No, not really. It keeps it nice and stable. The air just flows down over this thing. Yeah, the longer the vehicle is, the more stable it is. And if you have a bulbous front, if you have a bulbous front like that, the longer that thicker section is, the better. Now with Starliner, you don't have that. You don't have that at all. It's a very stubby capsule, and the service module is just designed for low Earth orbit operation. So it's a stubby capsule, right? So what happens here is the air goes off of this thing and it shoots off the side, and depending on the airspeed, right? Depending on how fast you're going, the angle of that changes. It could be out here. It's actually out here in transonic, and then when you get to supersonic, it's down here somewhere. The air flowing off can actually bounce that way. And then when you're at hypersonic, it's going like this. It's going down here like that. Now, here's the thing. This is actually genius. It's so smart. The angle, your kind of wake, I guess, your wake angle changes. It changes hypersonic, supersonic, transonic, subsonic, right? This prevents that angle from changing. It's actually really freaking cool. So the air is going to come off here, right? And it's going to create low pressure right here, right in this area here. It's going to create a little bit of a vacuum, and air is actually going to come up. Because air is getting shot off this way, and you have really high pressure going off that way, and then it creates low pressure right here. And the air kind of gets stuck in there, right? What this thing does is it controls the air going up that gets caught in there, and it regulates the flow of that air getting sucked in and getting stuck in that kind of pocket almost. And because that regulates the air going up, basically, these aren't the right words. If there's any people that know aerodynamics better than me, I don't know the right terminology, but I know what's going on. It's regulating the airflow going up there, and that basically keeps that wake angle right there at the same, it keeps it at the same angle no matter where Starliner is and no matter how fast it's going. So the aerodynamics are predictable throughout the entire ascent. It's really, really, really smart. Dude, that is cutting edge stuff. You basically eliminated the need to use a long fairing like that. You can launch with a stubby capsule up in front, and that fixes that problem. It makes sure that the wake is at the same angle every time, so the aero is predictable throughout all of the ascent. Now, that comes to the aero cover right here. The aero cover, so they figured out that keeping that, basically this thing holding that wake angle, holding the aerodynamic wake of the rocket at the same angle every time can cause weird vibrations at certain parts during the flight regime. So, like on the way up, sound will be vibrating off of the wake and coming back and doing weird things to the rocket, and that's why the aero skirt is there. The aero skirt is there as a acoustic damper to prevent excess vibrations from sound reverberating off of the wake. It's really weird stuff, dude. Like that's fascinating to me. I who the hell thought of that? Like, all right. I think this is what you're asking. Everything I do is passively stable, so I don't know how it would work, so I don't think I would be good to ask. All right. Yeah, laggy. Well, it does control as designed because Starliner flew up into space just fine 2 times.
Go and throttle up.
As if you're really, really sick, likely COVID, might have to get an ambulance and go to the hospital. Hey, Dodo. Tier 2, 78-month resub. Why are you telling us, S? We're not your doctor. Why are you telling us? I'm confused. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, dude. If you need to go to the hospital, stop wasting time and go to the hospital. Man, we ain't your doctors, man. No one's gonna give you a good salute. Don't talk about, like, dude, that's something that I've learned as a streamer. Don't talk about your medical problems on stream because then everybody turns into a doctor, right? You're wasting time. If you think you're sick, go to the hospital. I got a doctorate in memes, of advanced applied memetics. It's true. That's not true at all. Think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies? I think Abraham Lincoln said that. No. S, if you're not feeling good, if you're not feeling good, you gotta go to the hospital. You gotta go to the hospital, dude. But what's your memological sign? Kappa. I mean, if you think you need to go to the hospital, you think you need to go to the hospital. But, as if you think it's COVID and you think you can tough it out, I mean, that's entirely up to you. I wouldn't roll the dice with that. That doesn't sound... I've talked to people that have had COVID. Thankfully, I never got it. But I've talked to people that had COVID, and they said it's not fun. So I would call your doctor, call your primary healthcare physician, and talk to them. If you think you can tough it out, dude, go get some orange juice delivered to your house. Or call a family member, or call somebody, call a friend, call somebody. Get orange juice, get zinc, get vitamin D. Literally chug that orange juice. If you want to tough it out. If not, go to the hospital, call your doctor or something, dude. I'm not a doctor, man. I'm not. That isn't for me. But that's, dude. You think figuring out how Starliner works is easy compared to figuring out how this thing works. This thing is complicated. You want to talk about complex engineering? This is complicated engineering. I did a telehealth doc, and they prescribed me some stuff and said if I'm not feeling better by tomorrow, then I should go. All right. Don't screw around with it, man. COVID can kill you. Like, it can kill you. It's an acute respiratory syndrome. It will kill you if you're not careful. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail the stream. No, it's all good, man. But why are you telling us, dude? Like, and I'm not trying to say don't talk about stuff, but like, dude, if it's an emergency, go. Don't sit here and ask for our opinion on it. We're just some stupid people on the internet, dude. You know, like, don't screw around with your health like that. That's not smart. Zay, what is this? What are you doing? What are you doing here? I don't see any problems here. Yeah, no, I don't see any problems here. This looks fine to me. Yeah, no, this is fine. This is fine. I think this is working as intended. Zay, are you using our SSRO with a real map mod?
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Because I'll be honest with you, Zay, the pictures that you showed me with the third pad, I thought you just photoshopped that. I thought that was just photoshopped Googler. That's actually cool that it's you put the 3 pads in game. Python Aerospace 2022 colorized. It's called Canaveral Padge HD for Real Solar System. Cool. Did you see the rocket engine I posted in your Discord in the aerospace section? No, I didn't. What channel is it in, Hellfish? Aerospace section. Okay. You need engine ID. I don't want to download the stupid picture. I'm inept when it comes to this. That's a missile engine. I mean, I can see. Lonely Guy already linked it. That's from a missile. So this is something from the war, huh? Hypergolic. I'm reading the thread over here. It's a KH-22 AS-4 kitchen that allegedly was shot down when it was trying to get near Odessa. Okay. Interesting. This looks hypergolic to me. There's not enough plumbing and stuff on it to be anything else. This looks like pressure-fed hypergol, but I don't know for sure. Let me check. The chat people in the Discord saying it's a KH-22. Yeah. Something like that needs to stay simple. Ah, TU-22M. Nah, the TU-22 looks cooler. Yep. So you have your engine and then you have a vernier. I think that's how this works if I'm looking at this right. No, look, you can see the turbo pumps. Well, let's read. Let's learn. It's an R201 liquid fuel engine. The KH-22 uses a Temansky liquid fuel rocket engine fueled with Tonka 250. Inhibited red fuming nitric acid, giving a maximum speed of Mach 4.6. It can be launched either in high altitude or low altitude. In high altitude, it climbs to 89,000 feet and makes a high-speed dive into the target with a terminal speed of Mach 4.6. Wow, that thing books, huh? Probably gets really hot at the front. In low altitude mode, it climbs to 12,000 and makes a shallow dive at about Mach 3.5. The missile is guided by gyro-stabilized autopilot in conjunction with a radio altimeter. Okay. Tonka 250. Oh, it's Arstov. Oh, this thing. This is... Isn't this what they used... Hold on. This is from World War II. Arstov. That name's very familiar. Let me read. It was used during the Soviet Union in the TGO-2. There's a name of reference to the Tonka bean. Being invented during the Second World War, it has no connection to the similarly named toys. It is comprised of approximately 50% trithalamine and xylidine. Most commonly used with nitric acid or its anhydrous nitric oxide derivatives as the oxidizer. The combination is hypergolic and has a maximum practical impulse speed of approximately 2.12 to 2.43 kilometers a second, 216 to 248 at sea level. Yeah, it's not very efficient, but it's a supersonic missile. It doesn't need to be efficient. It needs to go fast. With the latter figure stated as a specification for the R-21 submarine launched ballistic missile first fielded in 1963. The Soviet Union reverse engineered the Wasserfall missile. Waterfall? Yeah. Wasserfall Fungelenti Flauraketi. Waterfall remote controlled AA rocket. I'm not saying it right, am I? Yeah, look at that thing. The system was based on many of the technologies developed for the V-2 program, including the rocket itself, which is essentially a much scaled down version of the V-2 airframe. The rocket motor used new fuels that was expected to be stored in ready-to-fire form for months. These guys had hyper... Jesus Christ, man. I'm really happy we beat them. Jeez, man. They had hypergolic IRBMs in 1944. That's kind of scary to think about, dude. Flugrakett, Flugabwehr rocket. Flugabwehr rocket. Rocket. Rakete? You don't say the E at the end, do you? Wolfenstein, but in real life. Yeah. It's that Eastern Front. It's that Eastern Front, Wheat. Everybody says, oh, you know, don't attack Russia in the winter, but if they had waited any longer, the Red Army would have slapped them. Rakete, yeah. The E is a schwa. Oh, yeah, okay. Dude. That is... Well, look at this thing, man. That... It looks like a cruise missile. It looks like an IRBM. Or intermediate range ballistic missile. It's kind of weird, man. It's kind of weird how accurate they had it, huh? It's very strange. And it's very... You know what the even stranger part of this is? That is... The KH-22 is a direct relative of it. That's weird, man. So, we're finding parts... We're finding parts of a missile from a war that's being fought in 2022 that's based off of a Soviet design. It's based out of a country that doesn't exist anymore from 1962, which is based off of another country that also doesn't exist anymore from 1944, where the technology originated from. That's very strange. Flugabwehr rocket. Flugab means, yeah, anti-air missile, right? 50 minutes until Twitter ruins NASA's announcement. It's very weird, man. It's like seeing those Russian reserve guys carrying around Mosins. Not even like jungle, not even carbine Mosins, like full Mosins. It's very peculiar. What do you think of this SRB Shuttle X? I hate it. Kill it with fire. SRB fire. Anyway. Alright, let's jump back over here. Looks solid. Yeah, thanks. I hate it. Yeah, Fractal, it's strange. It still blows my mind. Like, dude... It still blows my mind that a lot of, the designs haven't changed. That's what's strange to me. And John, you're right. Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention. Warfare is the father. I get you. Yeah, no, personally, I don't really mind defense spending. A lot of good stuff comes out of defense spending. Like, oh, I don't know, internet. No, not Al Gore. I know that Turing invented the internet. I get it. He was the first guy to come up with the idea of linking computers together. But just like Benz was the first guy to make the car, Henry Ford put the car on the map. DARPA put the internet on the map because they were trying to come up with an integrated web of computers for a retaliatory nuclear strike. So in case you get first struck, all the missile bases could still talk to each other. That's the origins of the modern internet, the DARPA net. Like, I don't necessarily mind defense spending, but what blows my mind, dude, is that it's scary, man, because you know, like in 1933, Germany wasn't the best place to live either. And like, it's crazy how they went from that to just all these freaking weapons that fast. That's scary, man. It's scary stuff. And dude, like, the stuff that they came up with, you know, in the years leading up to World War II, the stuff they came up with is stuff that everybody still uses. Like, look at all. You needn't look no further than a German helmet. Look at the German helmets during World War II. Look at a modern helmet that any army uses. The Germans came up with the idea of putting a little, like, rim around the helmet to protect your neck and stuff from shrapnel. The U.S. wasn't doing that. Brits weren't doing that. French wasn't doing that. Russians weren't doing that. Look at everybody's helmet nowadays on the battlefield. Everyone has that helmet. It's stuff like that. It's crazy, dude, how efficiently they hit the ball out of the park with, like, some weapon systems. I'll give you another example. The assault rifle, Sturmgewehr. Cut down intermediate rifle cartridge. Everyone still uses that. Not the exact cartridge, but everybody still uses that idea for fighting, even today, which is strange, man. What is that, Chief? Oh, I don't... Well, that just looks like a diesel electric drive. I don't know for sure, though. I mean, even the idea of a squad automatic weapon, the MG42 and the MG34. Frickin' 240 Bravos? Maybe not 240 Bravos, that's more Browning. 249s can trace their roots right to that in the FG42, which is strange. Even the M60. The M60 is just a slowed down version chambered in 7.62. Like, rockets are another great example. Jet engines. I mean, don't get me wrong. The first jet engine, a Brit actually invented the jet engine. Frank Whittle is the guy that invented the jet engine. He was the first guy to make a turbojet work. Yeah, the M249 is called a squad automatic weapon, Jen. The idea is that your saw, like on the modern battlefield, the idea is that with the saw, you just throw so many bullets down range that your enemy has to take cover. And if whoever you're throwing bullets down range at has to take cover, that means you can move on them. And you ever get the drop on somebody in a shooting game? Like, you're playing Tarkov or Counter-Strike or Battlefield or PUBG or whatever. And you get the drop on somebody. They don't know you're there. And you just walk up, boom, shoot them right in the face, right? That's the idea. That's what the squad automatic weapon does. The saw gunner just sits there, just puts bullets down range as fast as you can. The guy has to take cover. If he gets up, he's going to get blown in half by like 4 or 5 rounds coming down range all at once, right? Yeah, you suppress and then you move up. And then when the guy goes to pop out, he's looking at the saw gunner. Now the guy's over there, shoots you right in the face. I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen combat footage of that happening. It's pretty damn smart. That's an idea that the Germans came up with, man. It's very, very crazy, man. Yeah, the MG42. My favorite thing about that is the the U.S. propaganda at the time was, oh, don't worry about the MG42. Its bark is greater than its bite. It's just designed to make noise, to intimidate you. Oh. Yeah, no, go look it up. They were saying that kind of stuff. They were like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. It just makes a lot of noise. It's not gonna hurt you. MG42 can't hurt you. It's not in the room with you right now." I'm serious. There's straight up U.S. propaganda saying, "Don't worry about this thing. It's just designed to be loud to intimidate you. You can run out in front of it and you'll be fine." MG42s shoot at 1,200 rounds a minute, and they're shooting 7.92 Mauser. Don't stand in front of it ever. You will get cut in half. It's not minigun fast, but it's pretty close. 50 cylinders? I appreciate that. Yep. You know what else puts bullet down range? Sweet stash. Intimidate. I was trained on the MG42 during my Bundeswehr stint. Isn't it called like an MG3 now, Ebsta? I mean, dude, it's still a fantastic design. I mean, despite douchebags coming up with it, it's still a great design. The U.S. copied it. Straight up. Straight up. The U.S. took the MG42, and they took the feed mechanism from the FG42, a side feeding design, and made the M60. The M60 is just a slowed down MG42 because the U.S. is like, we don't need 1,200 rounds a minute. That's ridiculous. It was called the MG3. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not a kick-butt design. It's very smart. And, dude, the other thing, interchangeable barrels. Ebsta, you know. You know, there's a little ratchet latch on the side. You open up the ratchet latch, the barrel comes out the side, you can pull the barrel out, put another one in. Oh, you warp the barrel? Okay, put another one in. Quick change. Quick change barrels. Smart, man. Way ahead of its time. No one was doing that. No one was doing that in the 30s. Quick change barrels? What are you, nuts? At least to my knowledge. I'm sure somebody did. I don't know. The Bren might have that. That's ridiculous, Hellfish. The Bundeswehr still uses the MG3. That's cool, man. Alright, so let's undock that. Oh, that's why this is working, because we're not snap docking anything. CT2 outside of High Bay 3. Oh, very good. Novus, I'm going to check out Thomas's links first real quick. And then we'll try to get the snap docking thing going. Oh, that's going to be excellent. Oh, that's going to be sick, dude. Dude, Thomas, they should get the tail service masts. They should get the TSMs out of the NASA scrapyard, and they should mount them. So the shuttle looks like it's in launch config. Get those TSMs. There's two ML mobile launch platform. There's two parts of the shuttle's launch pad, the fueling umbilicals. They're called tail service masts that are sitting in Cape Canaveral, and they're doing nothing. They should get them, and they should put them there, and they should attach the TSMUs. No, not NASA, the California Science Center. They finally got enough funding to stack Endeavour. They're gonna take ET-94S and Endeavour, and they're gonna stack them. And then Northrop Grumman has two sets of SRBs that they donated, or one set of SRBs. They're X-Shuttle program SRBs. They were actually flown. I'll show you. They're on Google Earth. They're sitting at Edwards. Yeah, Thomas, yeah. Use the ones that are sitting in the field. They're easier. You don't need to take them off. See? There they are. Two sets of shuttle SRBs right there. Or, well, one set of shuttle SRBs. I keep saying two, but it's not two. It's just one. Those are the ones. Northrop Grumman took older SRB casings that they deemed weren't fit for SLS because they're old. They basically, at the end of the shuttle program, they took all the newest SRB casings, or the ones that were in the best condition. And then these ones weren't in the best condition, but they're still good for stacking. So they donated those SRBs. So Endeavour's going to be in vertical stack configuration. It's going to be the only shuttle, and it's going to be with flight hardware. That external tank is ET-94. That's a real external tank. The ET-94 ended up being surplus, dude, because it's a LWT tank design. It's a lightweight tank design. It's not a super lightweight tank. The SWLT tank design is the stir-welded one. This is only partially stir-welded, if I'm remembering right. But that's a real external tank, real flown SRBs, and a real space shuttle. And it's going to be in vertical stack configuration, which is just... What's with the compass thing? Out at Edwards? Angry Bee, out at Edwards, the compass... Okay, so... Edwards is a flight research facility. So they have markings on the ground so whatever they're testing out here can get orientation correctly. These are all testing runways that NASA and the Air Force use. So Edwards there's a lot of stuff at Edwards, okay? So anytime the Air Force wants to upgrade an airplane, they have a test flight squadron, and they have a test maintenance squadron at Edwards. And what, like, if there's new procedures for upgrading engines, for working on the planes, for upgrading avionics, these guys test the avionics, but they also test all the procedures to upgrade the planes and stuff. It's like Edwards is the beta test branch of the Air Force. If they're prototyping something new, say they're testing like a C-130, all right, and they're testing new engines for a C-130, right? They'll ship all the stuff out to Edwards, and the maintenance guys will figure out the best way to put the thing together to do the upgrades, and then they'll fly it around and they'll test it. And then once the testing is good to go, they'll push it to main branch. All the C-130 squadrons around the world will get the new parts, and they'll have all the maintenance procedures ready. Edwards is cool, man. It's the beta test branch for the Air Force. It's really neat. I mean, when you think about it that way, it's pretty much what's going on. You're a member of the test squadron? Hell yeah, man. I think it's really cool. Dude, I had the pleasure of going and looking. Like, I couldn't film any of this. They were like, put your phone in your pocket. If we see you with your phone out, we're throwing it in the trash. I'm like, all right, that's fair. Dude, I've been all up in here. Man, I don't know if you're out of Edwards, but dude, I've been all up in here. Like, in these hangars and stuff, Air Force test flight stuff. Me and Das got to go through all of this, but we couldn't film it. We couldn't film any of it because, like I said, they said, if we see you with your phone out, we're taking it. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm like, that's fair. Yep, I get you. Vickers converted a Prime to a Tier 1 sub, and Good Mood James had a Tier 2 62-month resub. And then Fractal gifted a sub to Mammon Lord. Thank you. If Edwards is the beta test, then Area 51 is the alpha test. Yeah, pretty right. That's what Groom Lake is used for, guys. You know, I wish there was aliens or something. That would be kind of cool. But all Homie Airport is just an extension for testing. It's an extension for Edwards Air Force Base. And it's out in the desert where nobody's around. I mean, the U.S. government owns like 75% of Nevada, for the people that don't know. There's a huge testing range out here. So there's nobody around. So they do all kinds of advanced aero testing out here. I mean, I can't speak to whether there's aliens or something. Maybe, I don't know. And if I did know, I wouldn't be sitting here streaming on Twitch. So see anything interesting? Nope. Nope. Saw a bunch of F-16s doing things. Saw an F-22. That's about it, dude. Yeah. They had all kinds of stuff, dude. But yeah, I'll be honest, Hellfish, I probably saw some stuff that was nuts, but I didn't know it. But also at the same time, sensory overload, man. That place is like heaven. Yeah, it's like, dude, it's heaven, dude. I would love to work there. I don't know what the hell I would do. Sweep the floors? Dude, I'd love to work. It's so cool. There's so much stuff going on out there. But yeah, they were like, don't do this, don't do that. We see you filming this, we're taking your phone. I'm like, that's fair. Yeah, I get you. That makes sense. You guys, yeah. Area 51 is just where they tested the A-12 and the SR-71. That's what it was made for. That's what it was made for. They made it for that. Things hiding in plain sight, that's the best way to do it. Anyway. Okay, so let's hit 1 and let's see if a snap dock occurs here. So I noticed that if everything is docked together and you undock, the hierarchy switches, but it does not snap dock, which is interesting. I didn't know that. I thought that this would still snap dock, but now that those ports are undone, let's undo this SRB. And let's undo this SRB. Huh. Interesting. It's just a distraction from Area 52? I don't know what you're talking about. I hate to split hairs, but it was for U2 testing. You sure about that? I'm pretty sure they tested the U2s at Edwards, and then they figured out that there was too much prying eyes there. I mean, Edmana, I'm pretty sure you. Let's get the information right. Can you double check me here? What are you investigating today? Well, Sayo, something very interesting is going on here. You know the MLV hold down points, right? I'm using the MLV hold down points to hold SRBs in place. And I'm sure you've heard me talk about like snap docking and how building a shuttle stack is not really viable, but I'm looking at something here and something very interesting is happening here. Where was the Skunk Works based out of? Palmdale. Plant 42, dude. Here. Okay. Let's try something. So put this over here like that. I'm going to induce a snap dock, which is once again, that's a big no-no. And we're going to induce a snap dock by doing this. What's a snap dock? I'll tell you in a second. Jake break. Sorry, I gotta slow down. So what's snap docking? Snap docking happens when you have two docking ports, kind of attached to each other, and you undock one, and what happens is, I'll do the technical answer first. What happens is you reverse the flow of the hierarchy. You reverse it, and reversing the flow of the hierarchy and detaching something from here and reattaching it up there. Yeah, the game doesn't like it when you do that. So what I'm going to do here is see, basically, I want to see how this ends up working. So I'll do a little bit of a hierarchy test here because I noticed that it wasn't snap docking. So I'm going to try basically every no-no in the book here. So here's how we're going to do this. Give me a give me some panels here. I need some panels to just hold this stuff in place, right? And now what we're going to do is I'm going to start screwing around with the hierarchy here. So why is hierarchy important? Hierarchy is important because it's hard to say it in words, to be honest. The right way to say this is that for instance, if you're going to dock a pod to a space station, you don't say you're going to dock your space station to a pod, right? That doesn't make any sense. When Starliner flew up to the ISS the other day, Starliner docked to the ISS. The ISS didn't dock to Starliner. Explaining it that way makes that what? What? I mean, technically that's right, but Kerbal thinks like that. If you think about it grammatically, like using English, right? That's how Kerbal thinks. It has this thing called vessel hierarchy. And vessel hierarchy is very, very important. I'll give you an example. Has anybody here ever docked to a station in KSP? You dock to it, and then the station freaks out and blows up? It's because you dock station to pod, not pod to station. That's very important to understand. That's a very important thing to learn, and it's a very important thing to understand. You have to make sure that the grammar is correct. Because if it's not, yeah, you're going to have a bad day. Yeah, it's just using hierarchies. That's all. Like, it's like coding hierarchies. Same thing. Certain code, you have to write certain code in a certain order for it to be defined correctly, or else it's not going to work. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So in the case of a shuttle booster here, what's going to happen is, the other thing about hierarchies is that Kerbal uses a single tree hierarchy, meaning that you have the stump of your tree, so to speak. Think about it like a tree, right? You have the stump, and the stump is the first part that you place down. That's the root. So like if you hit new craft file, the first part you place down, that's the stump. And then you have the trunk of the tree, and then you have branches. Now, don't get me wrong, you can tie branches together. You can tie branches together with struts. But it's very rare, if you think about a stereotypical tree, that branches will converge back into each other. That's very rare. I mean, it can happen. I'm sure there's a tree somewhere that, you know, has a trunk separate and then they join back in and then it keeps going. I'm sure that's a thing. But if you think about just kind of a stereotypical tree, it doesn't really work that way. Right? So with this, what we're trying to do is connect two branches back together. The game doesn't like it when you do that. So the SRBs right now are docked to the pad. If I select root part on the pad, which should be that docking port right there, it highlights everything. See what I'm talking about? Now, if we separate the SRBs, now if I dock these two things together here, if I move this in when the SRBs are attached to the pad and we dock them together, right, what's going to happen? Well, the docking port will latch there and the docking port will latch there. It should work just fine, just like what we just saw, right? But, your prescription eyeglasses. No. The thing is that we're not connecting two branches back in together here. That it just looks like we are. Kerbal doesn't do that. So if we put this together and we go to launch the thing, what should happen is one of the docking ports won't connect. It'll just kind of snap off, and then the two SRBs will just fly off in one direction or another. Now, if we had a shuttle stack or an SLS stack on this, right? If we did do that, right? What would happen is the core stage, right, and one SRB would go flying off in one direction, or the shuttle with the external tank and one SRB would go flying off in one direction, and one SRB would go flying off in the other direction. Because that's not a real connection. That's working. You can't make a square, right? You can't have the branches connect back into each other. That usually results in an explosion, usually. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to figure out a way to see if we can induce that explosion. I'm going to try to blow this thing up. I'm going to try to do what the SRB or what the SSTO pad did and just explode. It'll go right to your thighs and then you'll blow up. So does the pad work? Please hold. I will get back to you momentarily. All right, so save this. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to induce a snap dock here. And having those hydraulics in place like that should make it explode. Don't forget that you wanted to do a primer on the EVA suit thing before 2 p.m. Okay. Yeah, thank you, John. Hey, Urban, thanks for the raid again. Is this supposed to simulate an ET? Precisely. Yep. Cool, it's good to see you again. Urban with the double... Dude, you raided me 2 days in a row, man. Actually, it's super late over there. What are you doing still up, man? Damn. Thanks for the raid, though. I do appreciate it. You guys know my buddy Urban Venture? Urban Venture's up in his Kerbal streams and bringing his Kerbal A game lately. I really appreciate it. It really makes me happy. Urban doesn't sleep. Welcome to that streamer life. Hey, dude. It's only 1836. Wait. It's only 1830. Oh, okay. All right, you're not that far away. Okay, cool. Got it. Yeah, okay, yeah, gotcha. 6:30. Yeah, okay, all right, right on. Hey, Maslim. He's been recreating your shuttle mishap using a space plane. I'm not sure what that means. Want to get at that partner tick. Okay, Urban, shoot me a message. Shoot me a message on Discord. We'll talk. Give me 1 second. Hackermans. All right, yeah, Urban, talk. Yeah, shoot me a message, dude. We'll talk. We'll talk. Anyway, all right. So we have same vessel collision is enabled on these. We have SVI enabled. Let's undo the struts. Actually, those are holding pretty damn firm. I'm telling you, the thermo-bearing hold downs, they work, which is kind of scary. All right, so none of this should be docked together. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to move this. We're gonna unlock it. And we're going to move this down into position. That's docked. Okay, ready? Decouple that. There's your snap dock. See? We tried to connect two branches. We connected two branches together, and then we snapped one of them. We snapped one of the branches, and then the tree tried to hold up a whole branch when it didn't have any trunk. That's what happens. That's what I'm looking for. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Hey, John, how are you? Will do, buddy. Gotta head out. Have a good one. All right, man. All right, no problem. See what I mean? That's what happens. If you try to split a connection in Kerbal and then you try to connect it back in, right? And then you cut the branch and then the other branch has to hold up everything, it blows up. The game hates it. It hates it when it does that. So why did this break and the other one didn't? It's because these ports were docked. This thing was all docked together. It's because this was all docked together from the start, Wheat. But see, here's the thing. I gotta check something, dude. Is that a bug or a feature? That's not really a bug. Okay, think about it like this. Okay, you have a bridge, right? And then there's water down here, right? And then you have two supports for your bridge, right? Your supports are connected into the ground, right? Obviously. The supports for your bridge are connected into the ground. Okay. What we basically just did. Now, this works. This works just fine. It works fine. You can make this in Kerbal. You can make a bridge in KSP. It's totally doable. What we just did was basically sever this connection right here. We severed this connection right here, so one support was trying to hold up our entire freaking bridge. You're reversing the flow of hierarchy here. Without this support, if you sever that connection, one support can't hold up the whole damn thing. The game's like, wait, you cut this connection right here, and now Now I have to hold up all this. Oh gosh, how am I going to do that? Oh, nope, nope, physics reloaded. Nope, we're screwed. That's basically what's going on. So if this I-beam is our bridge up here, and the SRBs are your supports, I'm basically cutting the supports for my bridge and expecting the bridge to hold up on one support. Now, don't get me wrong. This has nothing to do with structural engineering. This has everything to do with how hierarchies work. What if you dock both at the same time? So let's screw with this a little bit, Hellfish. What happens if we do this? Let's unlock this thing. And then let's move it down into position. So, in this particular case, what I just did would be simulating a, it would be simulating me hanging the external tank and then docking it first, while the SRBs are still docked to the pad. This should blow up as well. So, oh, it didn't blow up, but it Kraken struck. Did you see the thing wiggle around? It was like, I don't know what to do here. Oh, do we still have a dock there? We do? Do we still have a dock there? Now, see, make primary. All right. So we undid the decoupler, right? Now, what happens when we do this? See what I'm talking about? Just remove the support. We took out the support on the right SRB, and then the left SRB tried to hold everything up. And then it just blew up. It completely exploded. That is an induced Kraken strike. That's snap. That's called. I call it snap docking. Basically, the game is trying to figure out why you undid one of your bridge supports, right? And now for a split second, it's SRB connected to my fake external tank, connected to SRB, connected to pad, and the game gets very confused when this happens. So, John, what we could try, is this. We could try undocks. We could try to undock the nodes, and that might do it. If we undock both of those at the same time, we could theoretically bypass a Kraken strike. What I'm going to do, what we'll do, is we'll go here, and I'll activate that engine, and then we'll activate... Okay, we have both of them activated, and we have them both designed to undock simultaneously, okay? Take this as you will. The CEO of Axiom Space is there for the suit announcement. Okay. We'll do one last test here. This is why I ruled out shuttle designs in the past. I can make it. I can make the pad. I can make the gantry crane. I can make all the brackets that we need to reintegrate a shuttle. That's really not an issue. What the problem is the shuttle is stacked on the two SRBs. And the two SRBs are what's holding it to the pad. Kerbal doesn't like that. It really doesn't like that. So the hybrid tech should be a solution that we might be able to get around it with hybrid tech. It's possible. If not complicated. All right, so here's what we'll do. Let's go here like this. Let's connect everything in. Unlock this. Right? Motor down. Okay, we got both of the SRBs. Now, undocking here might work. Okay. So let's control from here before we get to that suit announcement. What are you working on here? I'm just checking something, Wiser. Could you hold it down with the external tank? Yeah, RJ, but then how do we attach the SRBs if we attach external tank first? The SRBs have to hold the external tank up in order to mimic the shuttle structure correctly. And if we don't mimic the shuttle structure correctly, we're not flying. It's not going to fly right. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure I could come up with something to fake it, but I'm not sure what that would be. Maybe go with a Saturn 1 first stage and then external tank shuttle stack on top. Saturn 5 first stage, MG. We could do that. We could do Saturn shuttle. Now, what I'm trying to test here is to see if we can shoot this thing off and undock before the hierarchy takes a dump. And we will test that in 3, 2, 1. Oh, torsional loads. Very nice. It's so beautiful! Da 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 da. What? I didn't lock that out, so the auto struts didn't work. But I did notice that that did bypass, that didn't snap dock. It worked. The game recognized the hierarchy shift and it didn't snap dock, which is very interesting. That could work. And I think that might be something that they put in when they redid the docking hierarchy. But it's very clear that if we don't do this in the right order, it'll still blow up the pad. 10-minute warning. I understand. You don't need to remind me. I get it. Thank you, though. So does this mean you're going to make a column stack with actual SRBs? Yes, I'm not sure. Okay, two things. I'm not sure these are powerful enough. And even if they were, we can overclock them, right? But even if they were powerful enough, they have 2 degrees of gimbal. 2. Or no, 1 degree of gimbal. They don't even have 2. That... It's gonna be hard, man. That would be hard to get it to fly correctly. The real shuttle has 8. The SRBs have 8 degrees of gimbal on the nozzle. Yes, the shuttle SRBs and SLSs are gimbaled. You have a 8 degree gimbal vector on these things. I'm not sure if that's gonna work, dude. For what it's worth, I built a shuttle stack with them and it worked perfectly. Yeah, but yours doesn't yours doesn't emulate the shuttle's integration correctly. You're like, no offense, like I don't mean that wrong. It still works. That doesn't change the fact that it doesn't work. But what I wanted, you're pulling your shuttle up by the nose and stuff. That's not what I'm looking for. Could I edit the configuration to give it 8? Sure. How does one gimbal that much power 8 degrees? Well, KSP guy, it's actually pretty damn smart. The SRBs are segmented SRBs. You got segments, right? They're segmented SRBs, but think about this for a moment. How do you keep an SRB's nozzle cool? There's a lot of heat coming out of these things, don't you think? A lot of heat comes off these. How do you keep how do you keep it cool? It has an ablative nozzle. The SRB nozzles are one-time use. They're a one-time use thing. You only use the nozzle once. In fact, when the SRB is parachuting down, it jettisons the ablated nozzle. They make the nozzles out of heat shields. Ablation. Yeah, see? They make the nozzles out of heat shields and they jettison them. Because the nozzle is ablative and you want to reuse your SRB casings, right? So this SRM nozzle extension right there, the nozzle overlaps the throat a little bit on the SRB and they gimbal the nozzle only. It's actually pretty interesting stuff. This thing works more like thrust vectoring on a jet engine than it does gimbal, which is probably why they call it thrust vector control and not gimbal, right? But then again, a lot of rockets call it TVC when they're using a gimbal, and a lot of rockets call it using a gimbal TVC, etc., vice versa. You know what I mean? So, AJ, why don't we build everything into spheres? Because I don't like spheres. So, because the nozzle is jettisonable, it's already a segmented subassembly, meaning it's a different piece that has to be jettisoned. It also can gimbal. They made it gimbalable. Just the nozzle, though. not the entire casing, which is, it's actually pretty smart. That's pretty damn smart. SLS is using this. It's using exactly this, but they added another forward center rocket motor segment right here. There's another one. It's a 5-segment booster instead of 4.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
All right, last test here. So I want to hit one. If we keep these things docked, and then, okay, we keep it all docked together. I'm wondering what happens. See, okay,
Discovery, go at throttle up.
when I'm putting this all together, right? When I'm putting this all together, and I lower this actuator into place to dock to the SRBs, it's all one vehicle. What happens if it's not one vehicle, right? And we do something like that. And then I move the extender out this way, right? Is that docked? It's not docked yet. See, we didn't dock it. Oh, okay, there it is. It's good. All right, so now let me lock this out. Reverse the control point from here. So we're facing, oh, it turned a little bit, but that's okay. Let's go heaviest part. SAS is on. I'm just interested to see what this does. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Taradra, it's the single point hierarchy, but we could get past it with these, if we could get past that snap docking, right? That happens, that blows stuff up. We can get past it. Huh. Interesting. We can get... My control point's off center, so that's why this thing is freaking out. This is where the range would terminate this. Interesting. I can get past it if you just undock it. If you undock it and you snap everything back together, it seems to get around it, but it would need more testing. We would need to screw with this more. Yeah, now this is pod racing. And the funny thing is I'm using auto struts on the SRBs. The auto struts are holding everything together. That's why it's flying correctly. This thing in real life would have torqued out like crazy. Stand by for explosions. Standing by for explosions. Initiating explosions, sir. Now, let me go back and look at the launch pad. Can you see my last if possible? No one else has a T-14 hyperdrive chip with a 6 months and Marrakesh with a 26-month. RJ, what's that? What are you looking? What am I looking at here? I don't understand. Oh, Kraken text. Yeah. Is that working? I wouldn't use grip pads, believe it or not. Grip pads are good part to part from what I can tell. But the I-beams actually dig into the ground the best. I know because we held up Neptune with them. But yeah, this is good. Cool. Let me go look at the launch pad here. Static flyer is complete for Troptics 1. Cool. Which mission is Troptics 1? Yeah, that's what I found, Pigzig. Using grip pads to hold a vehicle to the ground doesn't really work too well. I find that using I-beams have the most friction for whatever reason. I don't understand. Astra is launching Troptics 1 from Slick 46. Yeah. Okay. Is everything okay here? Everything looks to be intact. Interesting. That's very interesting. How many parts is this? Just out of curiosity, it's 448. Yeah, we can... Half of this stuff is there just to look like Slick 6. Can get rid of a lot of it. Doesn't need to be too high off the ground either. NASA's live. Okay, we'll switch to coverage for NASA's spacesuit announcement right now, and we'll jump back to Kerbal after. We might be onto something, guys. I'd have to test it more. This is, I'll admit, this is the testing that, like, 2 or 3 weeks ago I said we know would cause a snap dock, but it seems like there might be a way around it. I didn't think of this. It seems like there might be a way around it by bypassing the snap dock by having the vehicle separate from the pad. So if I fire the booster rockets right at the same time that I undock it from the pad, it'll reconnect to the external tank, right? And it's not gonna, for whatever reason, it doesn't register the snap dock, which is very, very interesting. I'm not sure why it does that.